Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of FaB GaB, where we discuss Beatles, solo Beatles, all kinds of things. And occasionally we used to do a lot, ranking songs. And I'm Joe Mayo, of course, and I'm here first with my guest, Matthew Street, who used to do this show a lot with me whenever we started. At first, we were ranking. We went through all the Beatles albums, so check those out.
Back in the day, yeah.
It's like the good old days now. And also Beatley Tone, who, of course, I love and we've had him on many times as well, doing rankings and things too. So welcome back, guys.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Matt.
Great to be here, fellas. Nice to be with you.
And before we start, make sure you, if you're not already tuned in and subscribed, they have their channels, Matthew Street, and also Beatley Tone's Beatles channel. All right, so thanks for being here, guys. And this time, we're going to talk about Ringo's new album. I don't think I'm supposed to call it country anymore. We're going to get into that a little bit to have some fun with it. The album, of course, is called Look Up. It was released on January 10th. Now, if I can say, people know if you watch my channel regularly, I played the album and I liked it immediately. And that doesn't always happen. For me, every song, I'm like, yeah, maybe one or two less so, but I like every song on this album. And that doesn't happen even for Paul. And the reason I say that is not to pick on Paul, because Paul McCartney's Paul McCartney. But even with him, albums his greatest tug of war. Back in 1982, I would play it. I was like, I don't know. I got to give it a couple of listens until I loved it. But I loved this pretty much right away. The second listen, I was hooked already. So I thought we'd start out one at a time of overall thoughts first, kind of like what I'm saying. I'll start with you, Matt. What's your overall thoughts in general on this?
You kind of nailed it for me, Joe, because that's how I felt. There's not many albums that I'll listen to and can say right after the first listen, wow, I really liked that album. I liked something about every song, and this one was one of them. And it shocked me because I haven't had a Ringo album or a release do that for me in a long time. Again, Ringo, casual fans, they probably wouldn't listen to a lot of Ringo's solo catalog, but this album, I think it can appeal to a lot more people than some of his earlier albums. And is it a perfect album? No. But for a fan like me and you fellas, diehards, this is like a breath of fresh air from Ringo, and I loved it right from the start.
Very good. I think it's a perfect album, but that's just me. Not many things are, but I wonder what's perfect. I don't know, define perfect. For me, I just say that for me, my own opinion is because I like every song a lot, and I like the singing, the production, and the musicianship on it. So to me, I guess that's pretty good for me. How about you, Tone? What's your take?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I mean, I've spent more time with this album than I have with any other Ringo album for many years. I've played it lots of times and feel like I know it well. There is absolutely nothing to dislike on this album, and I'm going to find this ranking really hard because I don't think there's any bad tracks, and I don't think there's any outstanding tracks. So I'm going to find it quite hard to do this ranking. But I like every track for different reasons, and like Matt said, you guys both know because you kind of both did a response video when I did that. We need to talk about Ringo video where I'd said that I'd hit a bit of a brick wall with Ringo stuff. So it is a breath of fresh air. At the end of that video, I said that I really hope that this album would bring me back, back in line with Ringo, and it really has because it's an album that I really like. I think this is a really solid album from Ringo.
And before we go further, Joe, I just want to, because when I say it's not a perfect album, I do. My little quibbles are like very minor things. Like I wish some of the background female voices were a little higher. Tony, I think, mentioned that like in his review video. Like, oh, I wish Molly was a little higher on that song.
Yeah.
I wish Allison was higher on.
Yeah.
Thankful or so. It's little stuff, but it's little quibbles. But other than that, yeah, I could have gone with Joe on it's a perfect Ringo album.
Well, true what you say about that, because even I said in some cases I wanted Alison Krauss maybe to be a little more in the mix there, up louder. So and Molly on a couple. But then I thought, I don't know how accurate this is, but I was thinking maybe it's an excuse. You know, one of the songs where she's louder, I guess that's "Can You Hear Me," where you hear her the loudest.
Yeah.
Molly, I think that's more of a duet, arguably, where the other one's kind of like background harmony. There's the other ones which they're lower.
Yeah,
is that an excuse? Is that a good excuse or no?
Well, I mean, what you say is right. That is the that is the difference on "Can You Hear Me?" Call. It's a duet rather than a harmony. But I still think that if someone's being asked to sing harmony, then you should be able to hear it. Quite well in the mix. We wouldn't like it if, say, if Paul and George's harmony vocals in, "Help" weren't audible and stuff like that. You want to be able to hear them. And I'm not sure why they're so low in the mix, but that was one of the things that I kind of had a minor quibble about.
I do like that you can hear Ringo, because there's some albums. In fact, I just replayed "What's My Name," an album that I really liked when it first came out. But I always thought, and in that album in particular, Ringo's voice was a little more the production. I think Ringo produced that himself. I'm not sure.
I believe he did produce "What's My Name."
Yeah, and "What's My Name" and that album, his voice is a little more obscured, maybe a little more distant. I like that it's up kind of front here while we're on the subject of voices and everything.
And it sounds natural on this album too. And I know both of you might have spoken a little bit about how electronic altering with vocals nowadays, it's a common practice with just about every artist. But on this album, I don't notice it much at all with Ringo.
Well, I've said I've always get in this mess because I always say I never really spot auto-tuning, and I guess that's a good thing because I'd probably be pestered by it unless it's something really extreme, like in Cher's "Believe," where that's the idea. That was the idea to call attention to it. Or Ringo when he did on the "What's My Name" album, when he did his cover of "Money," and he really made it electronic. But if it just means smoothing it out, I'm okay with that because it sounds smooth. Now, one thing I didn't say in my review, which I picked up much later, is that on one song, I think it's "Come Back," I thought I heard Ringo's voice a little more raggedy, slightly. Like I'm wondering if he just sang that straight without any kind of slight auto-tuning on it. I thought he sounded a little different on that one.
Yeah, maybe I felt it gave it a real like kind of cowboy feel, having that kind of laid back vocals on it.
I call this the Ringo Renaissance, which I've been waiting for a long time, and that's always been my wish for Ringo, that before he's gone, that he would have at least one hit album, maybe not number one or anything like that, but a well-accepted album that people are talking about, maybe gets a Grammy. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a Grammy, country Grammy, whatever Grammy.
An album that's just musically and artistically top end for him. And I think he's done it here.
Yeah, and even if part of that Grammy is also a celebration of Ringo's achievements, he's getting on in years and everything. He's going to be 85 this year. Can we believe it? I just hope that happens for him. And, I always find that although a lot of people are really giving it respect, this album, a lot of people, even the most standoffish Ringo people, it seems to me, have you encountered this, that they're doing it a little guarded with their praise. They're a little, it's good, nothing spectacular. I think my friend, hello Andy Nichols, I think my friend on his show this morning, Andy, I think he said something like, "I'm not going to do a sermon about it for 30 minutes, but it's it's good, you know. And I'm like, why? Because it's Ringo, you know. If it's a good album, period. I don't care who does it,
right?
You know?
I think, I mean, to be fair to Andy, you know, their channel is sort of, you know, it's primarily Paul McCartney, isn't it? So they do Beatles and George and Ringo and John, you know, as a kind of a side thing, and like an extra thing, I guess. But obviously there's a lot of excitement because we don't get albums of new material from solo Beatles very often these days. So, you know, obviously, you know, there's a lot of excitement about this album.
A few people I've talked about, like past albums like What's My Name, Give More Love, you know, albums like that, going Postcards from, they wouldn't even give those things a sniff. They would just like, you know, like hear just a couple of cuts from it and just be like, nah, not for me. But this one, I've had a few people where I've played them some of the tracks and they go, kind of like Andy's reaction, like, oh, it's okay. I'm not going to scream to the heavens about it, but oh, that's not bad. They'll say, oh, it's not bad. And you know what? That's a win, because with
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll take that, because with some of his other stuff, they're like, Ringo, oh, that's just the same old piece. And, you know, they won't even listen. But with this one, they at least listened and said, not bad. So you know what? That's a win.
What I love about this album is that as good as it is, and most people feel it's good. It's not just the other artists. The other artists are fantastic. It's not just like, well, it happens to be, you got, you know, T-Bone, you got Molly Tuttle, you got Billy Strings, you got all these people. Ringo just happens to be there. He's got nothing to do with it. He's lucky. No, I like his singing for Ringo on here, and his drumming.
Yeah,
very good. Notch.
Drumming,
right.
Top notch. It always is with Ringo, as far as I'm concerned. He's a top notch drummer, and on this album it's no different, and his singing is very good on this as well. And if they've used auto-tune, who cares? I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
His drumming fits in perfectly on this album.
You know, as long as it doesn't, you know, completely distort the sound of the voice, I don't really care about
me either.
You know, that if they use it to sweeten a few notes here and there, so what? You know, I think it's to do with. I'm not sure if that's the case so much with Ringo, because I get the impression that he can't. I'm not sure if he was actually in the studio with the other musicians. I think maybe he records his vocal and his drum track at home and sends the file to T-Bone or whatever. But generally in the studio, whether it's a young artist or an older artist, you know, studio time is expensive. And if they've done a vocal take and there's like a couple of bum notes or a couple of notes that need sweetening, they'll do it with auto-tune rather than do a complete new take. And so what? Yeah. And, you know, I said on my video, I'm not sure why people get so upset about it, because, you know, guitarists, for example, are always playing, you know, phases of guitar with effects pedals and stuff like that, you know. So, what's the difference? What's the difference when you? I mean, I recently bought. There was a remix of Queen's debut album. They're calling it Queen 1 now, but it was actually called Queen at the time, and it came out in 1973. And they've done some terrible pitch correction on Freddie Mercury's voice, and I'm just thinking, why would you alter a singer like Freddie Mercury?
Right, exactly.
His voice is brilliant. His voice is brilliant on that album. They've completely ruined that remix by doing pitch correction on it.
Artists more than half of Ringo's age are using pitch correction in their recordings today. Real young artists, like you said, Tony, not to waste time or money in the studio, and they're all doing it. So if Ringo's done it here, he's done it very minimally, because I don't notice it much, and who cares?
Yeah. I mean, if you've seen any footage from the Ryman concert that he's done, he's in good. You know, his voice is good live. So
I've seen some of that. Yeah, and well, we're all in agreement on that, about the voice, the auto tune, and all that. Okay. We're almost ready to start our ranking, but I just want to cover a couple other things. I want to talk a little bit about Bukus of Blues. It's an album, the first country album. And let me stop there and say, a lot of people say, well, that was country, which is undeniably Bukus of Blues. Yeah, he's got it there.
Yeah, there you go.
And good. You're prepared. I'm not.
I'm not either.
Yeah. Oh, you got your album over there.
I got the album though.
Yeah. But some people are saying, this is, I talked to a couple of people, and it's fair enough. They say, well, this is country for people who don't like country. It's like some people are saying, it's country-esque. It's got a country flair, but it's not really country. To me, that's semantics. But to me, it's country enough.
Right. Yeah, it's not country like the old school 40 years ago Alabama country,
Right.
band like that, or some of those artists. No, but it's definitely country flavored, country pop. Call it Americana pop, whatever you want to call it. And there's a little tinge of rockabilly on some of the tracks, a little bit of rock and roll on some of the tracks.
Yeah,
it's kind of a cornucopia of Ringo playing that old time American country western rockabilly music. It's
I don't know what wheelhouse.
A lot of genres are on this album, but it's all good.
And so quickly, Bukus of Blues is one of those few albums in the solo catalog that I'm not really familiar with. Meaning, I think in my entire life, I think I played it all the way through 2 times. Oh. And the songs I like it. I love the title track. I've always loved the title track, Bukus of Blues. Mm. The other songs are some I prefer, but I have to give it more listens. But put it this way, it didn't blow me away like this one did. Look Up blew me away, okay? Even on a couple of listens, I wasn't blown away. So I guess for me, I prefer Look Up. Anybody else? So you guys, what do you think at this moment in time? I know it can change. How do you feel right now?
I'll get myself out of the way. I'm with you. I didn't come into Bukus of Blues till years after it came out. My first Ringo proper album was the 73 Ringo album when I was 11 or 12 years old. And loved it. Obviously, all the big top 40s he had with that album. So Bukus came years later as I got older into my high school, teenage years. I got a copy to explore it as I started collecting. And at first I was like, no, it's okay. But I wasn't into that style of music at the time. You're talking late 70s, coming into the early 80s. It wasn't until years later I garnered a respect for that album. And to this day, every once in a while I'll put it on and I can enjoy it. However, I like this one better than Bukus.
And how about you, Tom?
So I came to Bukus of Blues much later than you, Matt, and I really like it as an album. But I think country music has kind of changed. Now, look, I'm not an expert on country music by any stretch of the imagination. It's not really a big thing in the UK, and I think that when we were younger, you kind of thought of country music as being played by older musicians. It wasn't, it wasn't a kind of a trendy thing. But it's an album that I really, really like. But country music has changed, and now you kind of look at the sort of the sort of the cast on the back of the album, and they all seem like kind of older people, not older than Ringo. Then is what I'm saying. I think. But now you get like a lot of young country artists, so it's got a more modern feel now to it, I think. And I think that as a sort of and I kind of got into like other country artists. Here we call it alt country, like alternative country, like Ryan Adams. I don't know if you know his work at all, but I've got Ryan Adams, and he's like a sort of like an alternative country artist, and I've got a lot of his albums. Someone I really like, he's more of this the kind of the new. I mean, he's probably in his 40s now, but he's been around sort of 20 years, I suppose. But he's kind of a more modern country artist, and he's not strictly country. He does other genres as well. But I think that I prefer Bukus of Blues as a country album, but Look Up is it's kind of got a completely different feel. It's a much fresher, sort of upbeat, kind of record. I think,
and it's very accessible.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's instantly likable. Likable. Whereas with Buku's, I think that you have to persevere with it. I think, a little bit. I think.
Yeah. For me, it was a grower.
It's not not really your thing.
Well, Ringo's had 21 albums, not counting his EPs, just 21 full-length albums. Is it too early for you guys, or are you ready as this spur of the moment to give it like a spot or higher tier, mid tier, low tier? I mean, for me, I have no problems putting it in the top 3. The Ringo album I still have to put number 1, I guess. Although this one is fighting for me. Time Takes Time for the number 2 spot right now. But those 3 albums are among my favorites. How about you, Matt? Do you have a idea?
I'm with you in the sense that I'm really in love with this album. I can't get enough of it. However, I don't know if I'd go number 2 and number 3 yet. I'm more leaning towards the 4th or 5th spot for me right now, 4 or 5, only because Ringo, Time Takes Time. I love Ringo Rama, and I've always loved Goodnight Vienna. I mean, so those albums still have kind of sentimental. Each one has a meaning for me at a different part of my life.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing Look Up all the way up to number 5 right now, but it could move, it could shift here or there, but it's up there. And for me, that's for it to jump into the top 5 on my list of Ringo albums. It's an A album. Absolutely.
It's respectable. And Tone, we'll start right after this. Okay, and do you have any?
I think that it's quite difficult to give it a ranking so early, because the other albums have got an advantage because we've lived with them much longer.
That's the thing. Yeah.
We've lived with them much longer, and we kind of know.
Would you put it, Tony, out of 21, would you put it above the middle, that median line yet?
I would put it in the top 5 at the moment. But it's difficult to know whether that is because it's the excitement of it being new, and whether in a year's time, I would still put it in the top 5. You don't.
Just for today.
Today, I would
even if down the road the glow wears off a little bit for you, I can't see it dropping so far that would drop into the second, the lower tier.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So that's
because
that's great.
I sort of, I've spoken about it before. For me, in Ringo's back catalogue, there's a lot of mediocre albums. And I don't think this is a mediocre album. I think this is a good album.
Right. All right. So there we are, folks. Now, finally, we're ready to start. But I wanted to talk about the album for a while. So let's get to ranking these songs. There were 11 songs on here. I like every one of them. But, it's hard when you like every song to say, well, what am I going to do to put the least favorite down to the most favorite, and usually I have no problem with the first, number 1 or number 11. It's the ones in between that get tough for me, So I thought we'd start out with Matthew Street. Yep. What do you think? If you have to put something at number 11, the least of the tracks.
Well, that's the thing. You kind of hit the nail on the head for me. There's no bad songs on here. I like all 11. For different reasons, but when you look at the 0.001% between some of these songs, they could have fallen anywhere. But number 11 for me is Come Back, that Ringo did with Lucius. Ringo whistling on the track, which I thought was cool. This is the one we kind of mentioned earlier. The first term I thought of with Come Back was Cowboy Up. It's like you're on the trail heading out west to settle the old west, and you're sitting by the campfire eating a can of beans and having some bacon. And it's just a classic country western song. And Lucius, I think it's 2 girls, Holly Lassig and Jess Wolf. Really like their harmonies on it. I listen with headphones so I could hear what they're doing, and really pretty vocals. And I like the mandolin on it, the fiddle, the guitar. It's just a great cowboy song. Number 11.
Yeah, that might be arguably the most country sounding song.
That's what I thought. I thought that track was the most like old style country, like Booker country.
Yeah.
For me.
All right. So, Tone, what are you going to put at the end of this track listing for you, number 11?
Okay, I'm gonna reluctantly, I'm gonna go for "Thankful." As it was a song that I didn't really like when it came out as a standalone single, but one or standalone track pre the album coming out. But within the context of the album, it improves greatly, I think, and its placing at the end of the album is good. It's maybe a little bit Ringo by numbers for me, and again would like to have Alison Krauss, her vocal higher in the mix on this one. But if something's got to come last, and it has, because that's what we're doing, then I'll reluctantly put that at number 11.
All right, fair enough. For me, I think a lot of people are going to disagree with this. I've heard some people say this song is the favorite for them. It's String Theory, and excuse me, it's not that I don't like it. It's a pretty song. I love the singing on it, and I have it listed as Molly Tuttle with Rebecca and Megan Lovell.
Yeah, the Lark and Poe group. Yeah,
that's the Lark and Poe. Okay,
yeah.
Try to remember that.
So, right? Tony mentioned that in his video. Isn't that Lark and Poe, the two girls together?
Yes.
Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty song. That's a word I'll use for it. But I don't know. It's just my least favorite. It's as simple as that. I have nothing against it, really. It's just my least favorite. I wish I could be more critical or give a reason, but that's it. All right, so we finished that. Now we'll go to number 10. I'm Tone, I'll start with you for number 10. What do you got?
For number 10, I'm gonna go for now. I've already changed my mind about the song since I've done my review, which is this. I must have listened to it about a dozen times.
Me too, at least a dozen.
Early doors, I would have said "Come Back," but I like that much more now. So I'm gonna go for "Never Let Me Go" as number 10. Again, I like it. I like it as a track. It kind of reminds me of early Stones. It's kind of a bluesy country with the harmonica and stuff like that. Lyrics are a little bit repetitive, but so what? I'll go for that for number 10. All
right. Gotcha. Okay, Matt, what's your number 10?
Let's stick with that one. I got Never Let Me Go as my number 10 with Billy Strings. Was it Mickey Raphael harmonica? That I really like the harmonica on it, and like Tone said, the country blues rocker, however you want to categorize it. But it's a great little track. I love it. I had nothing really bad about it. Again, the lyrics. Again, the one thing I'll say about the lyrics on this album, Tony mentioned in his video. I don't know if you mentioned it, Joe.
Everybody has. I know, because it annoys me every time.
They could be a little bit. Maybe they're a little trite. Maybe they're a little bit predictable, but I think there's also a poignancy to these lyrics, and a lot of the lyrics are relatable. Even though they're simple, there's a lot of things that have happened in all our lives that can be related to some of these lyrics. So I have no real beef with the lyrics, but I totally understand the criticisms of them. But this one, great song, country blues rocker. I like it. Love the harmonica, but it went to number 10.
All right. Number 10 for me, that's where I placed Thankful, which is a song that it was okay when I first heard it. I wasn't blown away by it. I think it sounds the most like the other Ringo stuff, like on the EPs. That's because it's the only song on here written by Ringo and Bruce Sugar. And as we said, some people have said, the peace and love thing is thankfully absent from this album. Not that anybody has anything against peace and love. I got a cough drop, folks. Sorry, I got a bad throat. But he just falls back on it so much, it gets to be really, really tired after a while. But being that it's the last song on the album, it kind of works for me better than some songs work better in the context of an album, maybe, than
Yeah.
on their own. And I think that's one of them. My girlfriend was listening to the album along with me a bunch of times, and she said she really likes that one because it tells a story. And so I think it's simple lyrics, perhaps, but I like it better now than I do then, and I think it's placed well as the last track. Give one last nod to Peace and Love. It's almost acceptable to me.
Right
mentioning peace and love.
And I like what your girlfriend said about the simple story. Yeah, it's like a person's on top, then they have the great fall, but then they rise again thanks to someone they love in their life that supported them. Yeah, it's simple stuff, but it's a story. It's a common story.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're up to number 9. And Matt, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, I'm going with the Molly Tuttle, Ringo, I Live for Your Love. That's my number 9. Now, again, there's no bad songs on this album. I love this track. I love how it's, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about the past. Live in the moment today. Enjoy your love or who you love today. Again, lyric, simple. I get it, but I like them. And I just love Molly. And I'm sure we'll talk about her more as this album goes on, but every song she's on, and not to disparage any of the other singers, they're all great on this album, but Molly Tuttle has really jumped out for me. And Tony mentioned her in his video, how he's going to explore her music more. And I am too, because
I felt like that myself.
Yeah, I love her on this track with Ringo. I just think it's a beautiful country-esque ballad. It's to me the big ballad on this album, for me anyway, and I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And it's the decimal points that separate these songs are so razor thin that it could have been higher than number 9, but that's where it fell for today.
I would also mention these songs. Somebody said, I don't know if it was Tone, well, it's true. These songs, I don't think there's a 4-minute song on here.
No, they're all under 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Great. It's great. This is like a proper old school album. It clocked in at about 37 minutes. None of the songs are over 4 minutes. It's short, sharp, and to the point. It's great. It's great.
Well said. So along those lines, your turn. What do you have for number 9?
I think at this point I'm going to have to go for Come Back, which was initially my least favorite on the album, but I like it more now. As Matt said, Lucius, great backing vocals on this. Ringo's whistling is great, and I think it's an interesting song, but it's an old style country song, but still like it. Still like it. I kind of like the sort of the call and response with the lead and the backing vocals with the comeback bits that the girls sing on that. So, yeah, it's good track. What was that? Number 9? Was that number 9?
Yep.
You got your.
You're muted, Joe.
Thanks. I need that sometimes. Okay. So now I don't think this is cheating. I often wonder, sometimes as you're doing this, your mind changes. I'm going to reverse these two.
All right.
I think up number 9, I'm going to put Come Back. I had it number 8, actually.
Okay, that's okay.
But what can I say? Very country flavored, very tasty. Lucius, very nice on here. Whistling by Ringo. It's a good track. It's just not my favorite, So that's why it's where it is at number 9. All right. Now I'll start number 8 for a change. I guess I'll do one in the beginning.
All right. Sure.
Number 8, this might surprise some people, I think. I put You Want Some at number 8, which is a really fun track. Ringo's having a good time. Very bouncy. A little laugh in there. It's a Billy Swan tune. Again, you have... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong song. I'm sorry. Hold on. Oh, I'm sorry. Who do we have? Again, I was looking at a different one. Nice piano on it. I got my notes here. I like the piano. It's playful. Good time, but that's the spot I have it in. Number 8. I just switched it. It was number 9, but I thought I liked that better. All right, so now I'm going to go to Tone for number 8.
Okay, number 8. I think I'm going to go for String Theory. This wasn't one of my favourites on the first couple of times that I listened to it, but it grew in stature for me. I like it a lot. Larkin Poe on this. I'm not sure why it's not called Everything Rings though. but
yeah.
yeah, again, a good song. It's catchy. Once it's one of these songs that really improves, I think, with repeated plays. But yeah, I enjoyed that song, and I'm not. I feel bad about putting it so low, but as you say, they're all
I know they're all
good
they're all
songs.
good songs. They're all good
Yeah.
songs.
could have like 5A, 5B,
It's, yeah,
5C.
it's quite hard to put them in an order.
Yeah, I often say, albums, like certain movies for me, they repeat. If you like an album, they repeat and get better and better. Or I should say, the more you hear them, they can get stronger. Things can change. Something you didn't care about too much at first now becomes a favorite.
Right.
That happens, right? But I always say, for me, I can't listen to every album ever made by every artist several times. If there's somebody, if you say, hey, Joe, I want you to try the new Justin Bieber album, give it a chance or something. I don't know.
Right.
I don't really care much about Bieber, but I play the album and I say, I didn't do anything for me. Well, you hear it a couple more times. I'm like, that's all right.
Yeah.
But with the Beatles, the solo Beatles, I should say, I feel like I'm invested. I feel like I want to learn the albums. I want to give them more due.
Yeah.
It depends, or some other artist, if you like another artist,
yeah,
and they come out with a new album. Same thing.
I think both of you mentioned that in your videos and past videos over the years, is the loyalty we all have for this music and that we're willing to be more open to it. That's a normal thing when you have an artist you love or have loved since you were a child, especially.
Well, and then don't forget, a lot of times with Ringo, I know Tone has said it, other people have said it, this is a loyalty purchase with Ringo. Some of them are loyalty purchases, but I'm okay with it because I like the four guys so much in the Beatles. I want to hear what they're doing. I want to hear what they're up to. People say if Ringo wasn't in the Beatles, he wouldn't be listening to it.
Yeah,
probably not.
That's
but
that's
what I agree with you. I know what you mean. I should say
that's what I kind of meant by loyalty. Because you are totally invested in the Beatles, you feel as if it's your duty to to buy these albums and like these albums.
Right. But I'm happy. But I'm saying, like, it's not like no, another Ringo album I got to force down.
It's duty and it's curiosity, because you're like, could this be the one? Like you were talking earlier in this when we got on together, Joe, about an album that, like, is this the Renaissance? Is this going to be the Renaissance for Paul or for Ringo, or like the one that brings them back to the public consciousness again? And that, I think it's that curiosity and loyalty that keeps us coming back. And
I think with Ringo, and I mean this in a good way, I think this is about as much as we could have expected at this stage of the game for Ringo. I mean, do I expect anything bigger in the years to come? You never know, but I don't think this is about something that I thought would never happen, and it's about even exceeding my expectations and hopes for Ringo, as far as getting accepted and people liking it.
Absolutely.
So okay, Matt, you're at number 8 now.
Okay, well, I can only assume you guys have this one much higher because I haven't heard you mention it yet. But I just want to stress again, I love this track. It's a great track. You got Billy Strings and Larkin Poe again. Rosetta is my number 8. And man, it has the best solo on the album. And I love guitar. And this has the best. My favorite solo is on this song. But it had to go somewhere, so it's number 8, unfortunately or fortunately. Joe Walsh, slide guitar. You got I have a note here, just great guitar. I just love the guitar on the song. It's so nice. Americana country rock. It's got that groove to it, and I love it. I can't say anything bad about these songs, but it had to go somewhere. So Rosetta's number 8 for me, but boy, that solo, top notch.
Billy Strings.
Yep.
Pretty sure. Okay. Number 7, Tone, let's start with you.
So my number 7 is Rosetta. Again, a track that I really like. The as Matt said, guitar solo is fantastic. Is that the one that Joe Walsh plays slide guitar on as well?
Yeah, slide. He's doing
There's a
slide.
slide guitar and a lead guitar solo. Yeah, and country rock, and again, really nice track, and it's not with the backing vocals as well from Larkin Poe. Rosetta, it's great. It's great. I'll go for that for number 7.
Okay, Matt, what do you got for 7?
I went with the album's title track, Look Up. And again, love the track. I like the stay positive vibe of the lyrics. Molly Tuttle's on this track. This one is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is one of the most least country songs on the album.
Yeah.
It's more a rock and roll vibe for me, which I like, because I said I don't consider this album to be a purist country album like we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of different genres blended together on this album. And I think Look Up is I think Tony or both of you might have mentioned in your review videos that this could have fit on one of his earlier rock pop albums, like Choose Love or one of those, or What's My Name. It's just a great, cool rock and roll vibe. Love the song. Nothing to say negative about it, but just it's less country.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. I hate mentioning this because nobody's mentioned this yet. I'm the first one, I guess. Number 7 for me is the fantastic opening track, Breathless, which, boy, what does that really kick off the album and start so great? Really rousing opening song. Billy Strings helping out on vocals, great acoustic and electric guitar on there. I don't think I've liked an opening track in that way since McCartney's album called New with the Save Us track. The way that just like jumps in like that.
Right.
I just loved that opening. And talking about lyrics, there are 2 times on this album, like I said, the lyrics are nothing real profound. Bob Dylan is not going to say, "Oh, this is really mesmerizing." But it's funny that this album has at least 2 moments I can think of right now where I like it. And one of them is in this song where Ringo sings, "I'm beguiled." I'm beguiled. Yeah. You never hear me say beguiled.
I didn't know what he was saying at first till I actually looked at the word. What's that? Beguiled. I'm a guy. I don't know what he was saying.
Yeah,
I had to look at it.
So, I remember Andy also picked up on that when he did his talk of it, one of the talks that he did. All right, so we got 7. We're almost going to be in the top 5 soon. Let's go for number 6, and we'll start with Matt with number 6.
Joe, you said the word that the funnest, most fun song on this album, "You Want Some," is number 6 for me.
Yeah, it's fun.
Man, this is a fabulous boogie woogie shuffle. I think I said that in my review. I called it a cool piano boogie track. Mike, Mike, I wrote his name down. Mike Rojas plays piano, and you got Paul Franklin, who's doing the pedal steel throughout this album. But this is the funnest, finger snapping, head bobbing song on the album. I think it's so much fun. It's just, love is great. It's for you. It's for me. It's for everybody. Again, simple, trite lyrics about love, but I just think it's the greatest, upbeat, fun, happy song on the album. Number 6.
Okay.
All right. That far up.
Very good. Tone, what do you got for number 6?
Number 6, I've got Breathless, the opening track. Again, like you say, it's a great track to kick off an album. It's upbeat. I think I sort of call this sort of rockabilly, country rock, something like that. It's sort of in the vein of Honey Don't or Matchbox or something in that sort of vein. Not that it sounds like those, but in that sort of genre. I think Ringo's drumming on this track is superb. He does some really nice fills, and he changes it up a bit. I like it in the third verse. He drops out the snare, just plays the hi-hat, and it sounds really effective. yeah, a really good opening track. I think that is my number 6.
I forgot to point out the excellent drumming on there, Tony. You're a drummer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what you're talking about. I love Ringo's drumming on this album. I don't jump around for a lot of Ringo's drumming in recent years. I don't say, that's. But on this, it grabbed me right away. And that was the opening track. Breathless was.
Yeah.
So number 6 is where I placed Rosetta. What can I say? The most intense track, maybe like more kind of rocking. It's heavy. Joe Walsh with the slide. You got the vocals. That's the one that has Larkin Poe also on it. Not the one, but one of the ones. And I love it, but got to put it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads us to the top 5. Boy. I'm going to start at this time, I guess. Number 5 is one that I think a lot of people are going to put closer to the top. Maybe the top, but I haven't really decided yet. This is how I feel now. I may change,
Mm-hmm.
But I put Time on My Hands at number 5. Ringo's vocal, very touching. When I first heard it, I liked it, but I wasn't really knocked out by it. Placing this as track number 3 again, it really improved for me there. I was like, wow, this is like so good. After those first 2 songs, Breathless and Look Up, timing is everything. Sequencing can be everything. It's a good song anyway, but I just love where it's placed on there. So it's perfectly placed. And also, look at these other people that wrote that one. Paul, what was that? Kennerly, Daniel Tashian, T-Bone, Burnett. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song for Ringo. That bridge has been burned. I love the way he says burned. You get that voice. All right. Time on My Hands, number 5 for me. Now, Matt, what do you have for number 5?
Okay, well, when I first heard this song, it was the second single. It probably would have fallen 10 or 11 for me. Loved it, but I was like, it's okay. But after Time on My Hands, it didn't sit well at first, and that's Thankful with Alison Krauss. But it's moved up. It's a grower for me. The more I've heard it, the more I appreciate it and love it. I love Alison's vocals. Again, I wish they were, like we've talked about, I wish they were more prominent in the mix, but I do like her vocals. I like Paul Franklin's pedal steel. This song has really grown on me. It's just a breezy, upbeat, melodic country pop tune. And at first I didn't appreciate it, but it jumped up to about the halfway level of the album for me. It's really a pretty little song. And I love having Alison backing Ringo, and I love it.
That's impressive that it got that high for you, because a lot of people don't have it so high, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, no, it would have, if you asked me like a couple of days after it came out, it would have been sitting towards the bottom half of the album, but it's really grown, and I've gotten to really like it.
And it does get like uplifting in the, when it's singing the chorus, but I like the part 2 when it goes like, I was this, but then you get thankful. You're thankful at the end.
Right. Again, real quick, simple, kind of trite lyrics. You're on the top. You then you have the big fall, but you rise again. That. But hey, we've all been through it.
Okay, Tone.
So my number 5 is Time on My Hands. I know a lot of people are ranking this much higher. Again, this was the first standalone song that came out pre the album. When I first heard it, I was quite disappointed with it. I thought the lyrics are a little bit samey, very typical sort of country, but it's grown on me. Again, like Thankful, when you hear it within the context of the album, it sounds much better. And again, it's a very traditional country song, I think. But yeah, that's my number 5. I like it much better within the context of the album than I did as a standalone song.
Yeah, I liked. I said this already, but I also like thankful. I like thankful more, and time on my hands even more,
Yeah.
where they were placed on the album sequence. You know.
Right.
All right, now we have track 4,
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Street. What do you got?
Again, this track really sits well with me. I think you both had it lower. String Theory is my number 4 with Molly Tuttle, Larkin Poe. I just love the cool vibe of this song. It's got I'm no like great guitar player. I haven't played in years, but I just appreciate good guitar work. And I love the little pretty arpeggios, you call, a little picking by Molly. She's playing a 12 string, I believe. And
Yeah.
I just love the pretty vocals from her. I love the guitars in general, the little thing she's doing on the 12 string, Paul Franklin on the pedal steel. Then you got some acoustic guitars. I forget who's playing those, but it's just got a great vibe to it. Just a smooth, relaxing cut. And I like the way Ringo sings it. I love his drumming on it. Love his drumming on the whole album, as we've all mentioned. And String Theory is just one of those tracks like I could just put it back, put my head back, have a nice cold drink, just relax while chilling out to it. And it's just one of the better ones on the album for me. But like I said, there's no bad tracks. Any other given day, any of the others could jump right up. But String Theory, number 4.
Okay. And what does Beatley Tone have for number 4?
For number 4, I've got You Want Some. Again, this is a track that has really grown on me with more plays. Just really love it. It's sort of, it's upbeat. It's a bit cocky in a way. Do you know what I mean by that bit? Sort of.
Well, I like his growl at the end.
Yeah, I like when Ringo does that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I just really like. I love that sort of the honky tonk piano that's in that as well. Like you say, Mike Rojas plays that. Great track.
All right. Number 4 for me, I can't sing. Live for your love. So I Live for Your Love, number 4. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. Molly Tuttle singing together with Ringo there, the young and the old, just together. I think it's so beautiful. And that's really what it comes down to. It's just a beautiful track. Let's see. I'm looking at the notes, but it just says pretty much what I said. These are my original notes. Well, that's all I got to say. It's a beautiful song throughout. It's just the two of them together. I like when Ringo sings. I always hear the P in deep within. Yeah, I'm listening to this album a lot. You hear the.
You're into every little every word,
every little thing. You hear that, Ringo, even into the P sound. But it's just beautiful. It's magical. I just love it. So that's number 4.
Yeah,
and that
gorgeous.
Takes it down to top 3, up to the top 3, I should say.
Top 3.
All right, let's start with who do we do last? Let's do Tone.
Okay, so I think I'm a step behind you or above you, whichever way you want to put it. So my number 3 is I Live for Your Love. Fantastic song, really really nice ballad. Molly Tuttle sounds great. Ringo sounds great, and it's just a really nice country ballad, I think. And just really enjoy that track. Really a nice strong ending to side 1 of the album if you're listening to it on vinyl. Good track.
Beautiful.
Okay, number 3 for Matt.
Well, it fell number 3 on the album, and it's number 3 for me. Time on My Hands. This one wasn't a grower for me. I love this from the day I heard it. When I did a video just on this song when it first came out. Like, this is great. I called it one of the best Beatles solo singles of all time. I may have been over selling it a little bit, but I really was sincere. It really is a fantastic Ringo single, one of his best singles ever, in my opinion. I just think it's a perfect emotional country pop song. It's just got great little lyrics, albeit simple, but they're great little lyrics. I think it has some of the best lyrics on the album, albeit they're not Bob Dylan lyrics, but on the album itself, I think these are some of the better lyrics. And again, Paul Franklin with the pedal steel is just great, fabulous. And it's about love lost, and we've all been through that. And it jumped right up to number 3 spot for me.
And another lesson's been learned.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You do a good Ringo impression.
I love the way he says those words. Number 3 for me. In the morning. I can't sing. I got a sore throat.
Yeah.
When you call my name. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Another, what can I say? It's a lot like I Live for Your Love. Molly Tuttle drives me nuts. I just think she's so good. And I just like them together, you know. And you can hear her voice so clear, and it's brought up nice. I just love all the, what's the word I want to use? I don't know if they're verses, but they say different things together, and every time they match, it's magic to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I put for Can You Hear Me? Awesome. Number 3.
I like hearing that you have that one so high.
Okay, that's the things to come, huh? All right, now number 2. Let's start with Tone. What's number 2?
Number 2 for me, the title track, Look Up, which was an early favorite. First couple of times that I heard the album. Obviously, not a country song at all. This is a pop rock song, and I think I said in my review, it could have been, something that might have appeared on, one of the 5 EPs. But I just think this is much better than anything that has been on any of those EPs. Just really like the track. It's got a nice guitar riff going through it. Ringo sings it well. The drumming is good on it. And I thought I heard a bit of backwards guitar towards the end of the song. Did either of you hear that?
Somebody said that. Was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did say it, but yeah, I listened to it again today and to try to find that, and yeah, I can detect some of that.
Yeah, I think I can.
Subtle, but it's there.
I think it is subtle. Yeah, it is subtle, but yeah, I think I can hear that. Yeah, so that was my number 2.
Nice.
All right, I'll do the next one for number 2, and everybody's gonna fall down, and I believe it, right? Never let me go. Never let me
go. You have their way up there.
Oh, number 2. Let me tell you why. Okay, let me tell you why. Ringo drumming. I'm noticing all kinds of things in that song. Nobody really talks about the drumming much in this song, I don't think. But you were saying before, Tone, I hope I know, because I'm not a drummer or musician. Once in a while, he's got this habit of, like, he'll play, then he'll ride the cymbal for a while, or the edge or something like that. And then he's doing a lot of interesting fills and things. And that's what I like. Now, what I like in this song too, or the energy of it, the harmonica. I like harmonica. I like the harmonica in this song.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the line. Another one. Here's the second time I mention a line that I like in this rather ordinary lyrical album. We will make what's tangled come unwound. I just love the way he sings it, and that line. To me, it's so cool. Wait a minute, there's another song with no reason and no rhyme instead of rhyme and reason. What the heck was that? Is this song? I think it's a song too. Well, there's something. I can't remember. No reason or no rhyme. Anyway, so everything I like about it. Notice I didn't say anything about the repetition of "Never Let Me Go." Because maybe that overstays its welcome a tad, but to me that's just the chorus, and it's welcome when I hear it, but maybe a little bit much. 28 times was it?
28 times.
We counted them. Yeah.
I when I was doing my review, I was like, how many times is he singing this in it? And I just looked at the lyric sheet, and I came to 24, and just from the lyric sheet, and I thought to myself, you know what? I better listen to it, because someone will say in the comments, they'll say it's
you messed up.
Just like they always say, it's not 1964, it's 1965. They don't say anything else about the video, just about the thing that you got wrong. And so Yeah. And at the end, he sings it 8 times, but it's only got it 4 times on the lyric sheet. So
Well, but I
yeah.
could find some other songs.
It
Whatever.
doesn't matter. It's a good track anyway. But
You were committed.
I just said that, for something, mildly amusing to say.
Yeah, it was a music because I didn't think it was that. I know it was a lot, but I think it was that many times.
Yeah.
When I heard it, but no, for me,
the work for us.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny when you said it. But like I said, the harmonica, the drums. If you listen to the track, anybody out there, let's listen to the drumming more. Maybe I'm imagining things. To me, it sounds pretty cool. And also the singing with Ringo on there. Who's doing the singing on that track? I don't know. I don't have it written down with Ringo.
Billy Strings is playing on it. Is he also
doing
doing
because of his guitar player?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or does he do a harmony on it? I can't remember.
He might. Yeah, I don't
somebody's
know.
singing with.
I'd have
Somebody's
to
singing
look
with
at the
him.
sheet.
But anyway, yeah, it's a favorite. See if it's a favorite in a few years. I don't know, but all right. So number 2 for Matt.
Breathless, Billy Strings. This one, I just love it. I love it as the opener, like you mentioned, Joe. I just think it's a great country rocker. It kind of reminds me, I'm not saying in an exact way, but my thought listening to it over and over again is reminds me of like a Ringo on one of the Beatles 65 albums. Like I could picture him doing this one on, and they stuck it on Help on side 2 or something, or on Rubber Soul. Instead of What Goes On, they put him doing Breathless or something. I'm not saying it's up to Beatles level. Okay. Don't kill me, everyone who's watching this later. But it did kind of remind me of that period of 65 Beatles, and Ringo gets the country rock flavored song on the album. It's just, I love the guitar on it. And you guys mentioned the drums on this album, and you mentioned it on some specific songs, but I wrote it down for this specific song. Amazing drum work by Ringo on Breathless. I just love his little Ringoism fills. He's just so great. And no pedal steel on this guitar, at least based on what I could read and listen to. I didn't hear any pedal steel. So for me, this is the rockabilly song on the album, and I love it. I think it's fabulous opener.
No arguments. Well said. All
2.
right. We got to that moment where it's the number 1, what we like the best right now on this album, and I'm going to start it because I'm dying to hear you guys what you think. Well, for me, number 1, and it's no surprise in a way for me, is the title track, Look Up. Well, like we said, the least country, not really country, rock, pop, optimistic, fun. Ringo singing along with Molly Tuttle, who really helps the song. I might not like it as much if she didn't join in with him, but it's still a good song regardless, I guess. But I tend to like, more commercial stuff. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, I can tell you a whole bunch of Bob Dylan songs I like that are nowhere near commercial. But this one, I don't know why. For me, it wasn't the first single. I don't know why.
Yeah, I thought that as well.
But Time on My Hands seemed to have done all right. It had more of the Time on My Hands had more of the country flavor.
Yeah. I think I know why it probably wasn't the lead single, but it probably should have been. But he can't really announce a country album and then the first track that
is a rocker.
It's not really a country song. So they probably went for the what is one of the most country sounding songs on.
No, that definitely
hands. Yeah,
that makes sense. That does. That makes sense. What can you say? Simple words, but again, it gives me a positive vibe. Try to do better and try to keep your spirits up. It's as simple and old as it is, an adage.
I love the fact that you guys both had it up quite high too. It's a great track.
I look up. All right. So that's me for number 1 right now on the album. Matt, what do you got for number 1 on this album?
My absolute favorite, and I love them all, but Can You Hear Me Call with Molly Tuttle duetting is my absolute number 1. And the funny thing is about this track, it has the most minimal instrumentation on it, but it works for me. There's only Ringo on drums. You got an acoustic guitar. You got bass, and you got electric guitar, which I think is T-Bone Burnett's playing that. I forget who the bass player is, forgive me. But it's very minimal, yet Molly and Ringo together is amazing. I love the duetting by the two of them. It's she's got this picking she's doing. I think Molly's doing the picking on her guitar because she's doing acoustic, I believe. And it's very simple, but it's effective. It's just got a cool little picking. I don't know how to explain that, pregio or whatever they call it. And it's the cutest. I hate to use the word cute first, but it's the cutest song on the album. It just makes me smile. It just makes me happy when I hear it. And I love this entire album, but I've been playing it. And I was at the gym the other day and going through different tracks. And I think I went to Can You Hear Me Call like 4 times in a row. I want to hear that again. I want to hear that again. It's a stunner. It's simple, but beautiful. Oh, and one last thing I want to mention about it. I like the in the daytime, and then there's one verse in the nighttime, and I got a slight Yoko vibe from it. In the middle of the day, in the middle of a shave, in the middle of the night, I call your name. Well, this is Can You Hear Me Call? And some of the lyrics are about, in the daytime, in the nighttime, and I don't know. Yoko popped in my head. I'm not saying they're anything alike or similar, but it reminded me of that with the lyrical content. My favorite song.
Interesting observation. That's great to hear.
Love it.
That's great. And before we ask Tone what his favorite is, I want to say, you notice whenever you have an album where there's different orders, people have like different songs near the top in different orders. What does that tell you? It's not like everybody, these are the 5 least, and these are the better ones, and that's it. Everybody kind of mixed them up somewhat to some degree. So that says a lot. There's good songs on this album. I think.
I mean, everybody hears things differently. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just opinions, and
exactly.
There is one wrong answer, and Richard Dolan doesn't think A Day in the Life is any good.
I had a definite wrong answer on the comments on my review, where someone said that he's not going to bother listening to another mediocre Ringo album. So he already had it in for the album.
Really.
And he said that I might get round to listening to it when I've finished listening to all the superb other music that I've got, sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't remember the last time I liked an album this much. That includes Dear Old Paul. I like McCartney 3. I liked a lot of his albums, but I like this better than Egypt Station, honestly. But that's another one. But okay, we won't go there right now.
That's a video for another day, perhaps.
Yeah, another day.
Albums that haven't held up for us.
That one hasn't held up to me. I didn't love it in the beginning, Egypt Station, but I like it a little less even now. But there's some tracks I do like from it. Anyway, all right, Tone, it's your turn to give us your choice for number 1 on this album today.
Okay, well, just before I do that, one thing that you did remind me about, Joe, when you were talking about the drumming, that I meant to say when I was talking about You Want Some, is that the Ringo swing in that on that track, you can really hear, that kind of swishing movement that he does. You watch him in the Beatles, you always see him on the hi-hat.
Yes,
he swishes like this. You can kind of hear that. They kind of call that the Ringo swing, and you can hear it on that track. Okay, enough of that. So my number 1 is the same as Matt's.
Wow.
Can You Hear Me Call?
Well, I forgot you haven't mentioned that one yet. Great.
And
boy, I'm glad I made it number 3.
Yeah, you had it up there. You had it way up there.
Already, I only put my review video out 3 days ago, and already I've changed my mind since then. I think then when I did that, I sort of I talked about that the weak lyrics in it, and now I'm thinking I don't actually care because Molly Tuttle's voice on this is just superb, and when we hear it here so clearly, it kind of I find it make it. I'm a little bit annoyed that she's so low in the mix on some of the other songs. I'd like to hear her more, and it's her voice that gives this song the country feel to it. Not that Ringo sings it badly. He doesn't. He sings it really, really well, and they sing really well together. And a call and response, and all that sort of stuff. And like you say, Matt, it's a fairly minimal, right? Arrangement. Really, really good track. And I really underplayed it on my review, and it's only like 3 days ago, and I'm already thinking, well, this is actually the best track on the album. So there you go.
Yeah, I think I'll change my vote. But I'm glad that you said something that I kind of forgot about. Yeah, the country flavor really, Molly really brings that, the way she sings it. So I like that. And also, we're talking about lyrics and everything. I was watching you just the other day on a playback talking about Mumbo from McCartney as well, talking about lyrics. But but that's a different thing. That's a jam.
Yeah, no, I think this.
I love Mumbo, by the way. I'm with you on that choice.
Good. But the thing is that pop music is not. It doesn't always have to be deep and meaningful.
Right.
It can be just fun, or the lyrics don't. Sometimes they matter, sometimes they don't. I just feel that they matter less on this album.
Oh, you're not saying it's a no. I know you. I understand. You're not saying it's a deal breaker.
This album is the entire vibe of it that makes it special.
Yeah, and I still love Hello Goodbye. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Hello Goodbye. But well, I knew this would be fun. I knew it would be interesting, and I was not disappointed. So I thank both of you for joining me for this episode of FaB, GaB.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
And I said, let's do it again soon. And I hope there's
one last thing. Yeah, I'm sure you both agree, because I think you mentioned in your videos, is the album cover and the design of this thing is beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah,
really good.
A lot of effort went into this. Gatefold,
poster,
wonderful vinyl. A lot of wonderful photos of Ringo.
Yeah, one of his best album designs ever, in my opinion.
Yeah. A lot of work went into this, a lot of effort, and I appreciate that. What can I say, folks? Probably a lot more about this album, because I really like it that much. I'm going really too far, and some people are like, all right, some people are going overboard on this album. Well, I'm going overboard. It's not overboard to me. It deserves it.
You do what you want, and how you feel, and a natural reaction is a good reaction, right?
Because a lot of times people say, and I'm not saying anybody here, but I've said they say, here's my honest review. People say,
I always say that, and I know people hate it, but I don't know why I say it, but I kind of always feel like some people don't like me to pick out the things that I don't like, and I can't see the point of doing a review if you're not going to be, you're going to sort of gloss over the thing that you don't like about it, and that's kind of what I mean. And I know Tom, Tom picks up on that as well. He doesn't like an honest review, or been saying this is an honest review, but I'm not really sure how else.
No. But when you say honest, you just mean in the sense that you're going to let it all hang out. You're going to tell you how you feel it.
Right.
From the heart. This is how I feel, good or bad.
You're not gonna pull punches. Yeah,
right.
You're just gonna.
Some people do it as if to say they've heard other reviews, and mine's going to be the honest one. I know that's not what you're doing. No, that's why I say nobody here.
Right.
But people have done that. It's like, look, I am not getting paid to say these things. I did not like Crooked Boy very much. I was the only guy that didn't love Crooked Boy.
Yeah, no, I didn't like it either.
I like Crooked Boy.
I like February Sky, but
there's good and bad on all the EPs, but that one I kind of favor.
Yeah, most people like that one more than some others. And as I say, there's no right or wrong, but I was in the minority in that. It seemed like I didn't think it was. I like February Sky, but the other ones were okay, but I wasn't blown away by them, But I think we take some of my favorite tracks off the EPs and put them on a choice album, because everyone to me has stuff that's worthwhile on them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
at least one song or two. in some cases, in my opinion. Well, guys, again, thanks everybody
thank
out
you,
there. Don't
guys.
forget to subscribe if you haven't already. The Matthew Street channel.
Thank you.
Beatley Tones Beatles channel.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay,
Enjoyed
guys.
spending time with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
It was fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody who's watching.